Hi everybody, my name is Jens Larsen. The pentatonic scale is probably one of the first things we come across when we want to start to improvise on guitar. And since it's something that we're very familiar with, and as you might have seen in some of my other lessons, that it's something that you can use to superimpose over other chords and draw out some very interesting sounds, it might be worthwhile checking out what you can do if you start changing one or two notes in the pentatonic scale to get a different kind of scale and then use it in the same way. In this video I'm going to go over how you can take one note of the C minor pentatonic scale and change it and then get some really interesting sound over a G7 altered. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar, about improvising over changes and some interesting arpeggios and scale choices, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to make sure not to miss anything, then click the little bell notification icon next to the subscribe button. I came across the scale that I'm talking about in this video when I was messing around with C minor pentatonic, so you probably already know this. And what I did was I changed the C, so the root, to move it down a half step, and then I had this scale. And this scale you might also recognize as a subset of the notes found in A-flat melodic minor. The reason why I'm mentioning the C minor pentatonic is because it's going to make it easier to learn the scale in the beginning. So if we think of, because you probably already know C minor pentatonic, and you probably can find the C in the C minor pentatonic and change that to a B, then it gets really easy to construct all the other positions as well. Because if I take this C minor pentatonic and change the C into a B, then I have. So in that way that can be just easy to get started. Of course you need to check out the scale for the rest as well, and we need to look at that also. If you want to use this scale when you're improvising, you probably want to be quite familiar with it. And one way you can do that is to practice some different exercises through the scale. So you can use, of course, the same exercises you do with the other pentatonic scales. So that could be playing the scale in groups of 3. Or in 4. You should, of course, also check out what kind of chords you can find in the scale. And one way you can do that is to stack diatonic thirds, which for a pentatonic scale usually gives you a lot of chordal harmony. That will be this exercise. So this tells us that we have this structure, which if I play an octave higher, you will probably recognize as the top part of a G7 sharp 9, which is in fact a chordal voicing. Then we get an E-flat augmented triad, a stack of 4s from F, a G7 shell voicing, E-flat major second inversion triad, and then we're back with our chordal voicing for the G7 sharp 9. So that's how you construct and play the scale, how you do some exercise in it, and a little bit about what kind of structures you can find in there. So now we can go over some 2-5-1 licks where we're using this on the alto dominant. So in this example, the D minor is first just using an F major 7 arpeggio, but I'm playing it in two fifths next to each other. Then there's a scale one from D to A. And here the G7 altered lick in this case is really just playing the scale ascending. So I'm starting on B flat and then just up the scale and then resolving that to the 9th on C major. And really what you have here is that this scale, it works sort of as an arpeggio or something that's really just pulling out certain colors, and because it's sort of a little bit less familiar structure, it will work as a melody also. So in that way we can get away with using really just a scale run once in a while and then still make it sound interesting. Here I start with an ascending D minor 7 arpeggio, so from C down to D, and then I run up the scale, and then down to the E, and then I'm using that just to encircle the F on the G7. And here I'm using first this chordal arpeggio, so, and then from here I go to this E-flat augmented inversion, and then I resolve that to the high 3rd E on C major 7. So here I'm again using the F major 7 arpeggio on the D minor, so I start on the A, and then down to the F, and then up the arpeggio, down the scale, and then skipping down to A, and then on the G7 I'm skipping up, so I'm using this position, and I start with the B flat, down on E flat major triad, and then up to F, down on the E flat, and then resolve to the E on the C major. The trick to using these other pentatonic scales that we can construct is probably to rely a little bit on some of the habits and some of the technique we have in the normal pentatonic scales. So you want to keep them 2 notes per string, and for the rest you probably want to work with them as a specific certain color that you can pull out and just add to your vocabulary of other melodic minor material that you have when you want to play on an altered chord or in a tonic minor situation. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar and this is the first time you see one of my lessons, then subscribe to my channel. I publish a new lesson every Thursday and I've been doing it for quite some time, so there's already a lot of material available on my channel. Probably this lesson is going to be the first in a series because I'm going to do a few more lessons on how you can alter the standard minor pentatonic scale and get some really interesting sounds that you can use in different situations. So if you have ideas for stuff you really want to have a pentatonic scale lesson on, then feel free to leave a comment on that. If you want to help me keep making all these videos, then check out my Patreon page. It's because of the people supporting me on Patreon that I have the time and the money to keep on making all these videos, and I'm very grateful for that. And if you're supporting me on Patreon, I can also give you something in return. That's about it for this week. Thank you for watching, and until next week.